Well, I thought I had recorded my last episode for the year, but a big piece of news just broke out of Washington. The Explore Act that we've been following all year has passed the Senate and heads to the president for signature. It includes sweeping reforms to the permitting process in national parks and on other public lands, including long-awaited reforms to the rules for filming on federal land, extending the season public campgrounds are open, reauthorizing the Every Kid Outdoors program, and more. I'm Jason Epperson, and this is RV Miles. The Expanding Public Lands Outdoor Recreation Experiences Act, or Explore Act, was introduced in the U.S. House of Representatives in November of 2023, sponsored by many House members on both sides of the aisle, and it passed the House on a voice vote back on April 9th. It was then sent to the Senate, where it's been lingering, waiting to be taken up, and many had hoped that it would finally get passed by the Senate in this lame duck session. The bill is actually a package of a dozen or so public lands related pieces of legislation, and it has wide support from both Democrats and Republicans and a wide variety of public land stakeholders, including environmental groups like the Sierra Club and the National Wildlife Federation, and business interests like the RV Industry Association and the Outdoor Hospitality Industry Association. Supporters say it will grow rural jobs, increase access to public lands, provide gateway communities assistance for outdoor recreation businesses, and modernize facilities. The bill provides for a whole host of public lands initiatives and reforms. I'm going to list them in the order they appear in the bill, and I'm going to skip some of the minor ones. First off, the bill requires the cabinet secretaries in charge of public lands to do a massive survey and inventory of outdoor recreation, mapping opportunities for more recreation and showing the usage levels and needs for infrastructure improvements across the country and across all of the federal land agencies like the National Park Service, the Bureau of Land Management, and the U.S. Forest Service. They will establish a council called the Federal Interagency Council on Outdoor Recreation, made up of members of all the public land agencies to coordinate with each other when dealing with promoting outdoor recreation, implementing technologies, dealing with emergencies, and more. The bill requires the Secretary of the Interior and the Secretary of Agriculture to establish 10 long-distance national bike trails, at least 80 miles long each, using trails and roads already in existence, and identify 10 more that could become national bike trails in the future. The bill sets a unified federal policy for recreational climbing, including the placement and maintenance of fixed anchors for recreational climbing and allowing them in federally protected wilderness areas, which has been a controversial issue over the past few years. It requires the secretaries to establish at least one suitable location for target shooting range within each national forest and each Bureau of Land Management district and improve the standards of existing ranges. The bill will drop permit requirements for people filming on public lands, as long as that filming is, quote, merely incidental to or documenting an activity or event that is allowed or authorized in the system unit, whether any individual receives compensation. The secretaries may require a de minimis use authorization for groups of 6 or more who are filming and photographing, which is like a mini permit, but they can't charge for it, and they have to allow you to apply for it on a website and in person, and they have to automate approval. Groups of more than 8, groups using more than basic handheld equipment and tripods, and groups who are impeding and intruding on the experience of others will need to apply for and obtain a permit and pay a fee. It requires the Bureau of Land Management and U.S. Forest Services to provide and update maps showing motorized and non-motorized use areas. It requires the agencies support their gateway communities, the towns that are at the entrance to popular areas like national parks, including technical and financial assistance to businesses through low-interest business loan programs. It will expand broadband internet access and cell service in already developed areas of national parks like lodges, visitor centers, and campgrounds. The bill allows for land management agencies to create cooperative cost-saving management agreements. So, for instance, a Forest Service campground on the edge of a national park could be ran by the National Park Service in order to create an efficiency. A state park can agree to work with a federal park to share employees or facilities. It requires the secretary seek to increase and improve parking and restroom facilities for persons recreating on federal recreation lands and waters. It requires the establishment of new wheelchair accessible trails and a massive inventory of trails to provide accessibility data, including measuring each trail's average and minimum tread width and slope. It provides support for veterans by requiring the agencies assist with programs and jobs focused on continuing national service and developing strategies for encouraging outdoor recreation by veterans and service members. It also establishes a national policy for encouraging youth participation in the outdoors and extends the Every Kid Outdoors program, which offers free public lands passes to fourth graders through 2031. The bill dramatically cleans up and modernizes the permit process for public lands tour operators and guides, events, and special activities. Those activities still require permits, but much of the red tape in the application process will be removed, which will save both the government and the applicants time and money. The bill establishes a digital version of the America the Beautiful public lands passes that allow access to most federal lands for one fee. So starting in 2026, you can purchase it online and you don't have to wait for it to be delivered. It also allows federal agencies to partner with state and local agencies to allow people to buy multiple passes in one transaction. So imagine you buy your state park pass when you renew your license plate. Several states do it that way. You could theoretically add a federal pass on at the same time. It requires all of the federal land agencies to look at seasonal closures of parks, campgrounds, marinas, etc., and where feasible, reduce the length of time those facilities close, allowing for more access in the shoulder seasons. It requires the agencies leverage more thoroughly the power of volunteers in aid of recreation access, trail construction or maintenance, facility construction or maintenance, educational uses, visitor services, and more. There are several other provisions in the law, but those are the ones that I could pull out. It's a big bill, and as I said, it really has broad support. There are few areas that people may quibble over, but there's one that really does stand out to me that some might consider as a negative. The bill asks federal land agencies to broaden public-private partnerships to refurbish facilities like campgrounds and lodges. Essentially, what that means is more concessionaire-run campgrounds. There's a huge push by the RV industry and others to modernize federal campgrounds with 50-amp power and sewer, etc. As an avid RVer, I don't tend to agree. Fix the pavement, fix the picnic tables, fix the restrooms, but we don't necessarily need sweeping reconstruction of individual campgrounds just so they can rise in cost. And that's what they'll do. The only reason a private entity would spend the money to upgrade these facilities is in order to make more money off of them. And in general, I haven't seen much proof in the past that campground privatization has been any more efficient or effective than campgrounds run by the government. They're simply more expensive, and business entities only are interested in running the most popular and profitable campgrounds, which takes more money away from the National Park Service and the other federal land agencies. That said, this provision could also lead to some nonprofit-run campgrounds, perhaps by organizations like the Grand Canyon Conservancy, leveraging volunteer resources from these organizations, helping to fund them. Time will tell. I'll put a link to the full bill in the description if you'd like to peruse it. Obviously, it still needs to be signed by the president, but I see no reason it won't be. Some of the provisions in the bill are effective immediately. Others happen over the course of the next few years. That's it for this episode. If you like what we do, consider becoming a Mile Marker member. We're currently offering a 1-month free trial, and you get additional podcast episodes, a monthly live stream. We do a fantasy football and a book club and more, and we'd love to see you there. If you got something out of this video, hit the like button. If you want more like it, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.